Good morning, Iron Woman. Good morning. I always look to the right. That's interesting. I love it when you notice your own behaviors and words and language and conversation. And it really comes out when you start speaking to yourself on a regular basis on the internet. Anyway, good morning. I'm just about to jump on some calls with Amazing Woman to talk all about the I'm Pleasure Ed. That's my reminder that I'm going to jump on calls about my I'm Woman Pleasure Education 2019 program starting on Friday, which is incredible. And I am so excited to get started. The content, the lessons, the education, the exercises, the programming, it's just mind-blowing stuff. If you are interested in that, please drop me a personal message. I'll send you some information through and we can have a little bit of a chat about it. We've still got a few places left, so that would be awesome. If you are interested, please do that now. But today I have very quick live by my standards, 3 blocks to mind-blowing orgasms, or just 3 blocks to orgasms or sex drive or pleasure or any of that sort of stuff. Again, this is diving into the real top level sex education that we should have had in school, maybe in college if you want it, but this is the information just about how female bodies work. That's it. Not necessarily about your body in particular, because we've all got our own flavors, we've all got our own breaks, accelerators, we've all got our own menu, we've all got all these delicious stuff to learn about how our body works. But from a top level information, there's 3 things I want you to know and 3 things I want you to realize. And the overarching statement is that you are normal. Don't believe me? 1, how you experience desire. Basically, these are from the 3 of the main questions that sex educators like myself, therapists, Google gets asked on a regular basis. And the first one is about how women access desire. And that is really understanding that there's a lot more complexity to desire than just all of a sudden this spontaneous out of nowhere, I want to have sex, just appears. Our bodies don't necessarily work like that. They tend to work like that within the first 6 to 18 months of a relationship, maybe up to sort of 4 years. The statistics are a little bit here and that. We know it as the honeymoon period. Our literal chemical makeup within our body is different during that period. We are up for it a lot more. This is called spontaneous desire. Now, what happens, and it happens to about 75% of women all of the time, but particularly once you've been in a relationship for a longer period, how we access desire is different through a different mechanism. Is that the right word? Yeah, that'll do. We have something called responsive desire. So that means that we don't we don't experience desire. We don't get to desire from just out of nowhere, which is what the culture tells us at the moment. Culture tells us that, when you've got a high libido, which doesn't really exist, but that's a whole different conversation. When you have a high libido, you just want sex all the time. You're always up for it. And that spontaneous desire comes out of nowhere, and that's better. And then without understanding how female bodies actually work and how women's arousal systems work, from actually how our chemical, like our hormones and our bodies are actually made up, right the way through to cultural messages, we have this different aspect and different access point to desire. And all that means is that something sexually relevant has to already be happening to us. And what that sexually relevant thing is, you might be already having sex. We might be already in the moment. We might actually be going all the way there. Or it might be just something as simple as seeing Channing Tatum. Definitely always available on Google. Awesome. It's one of these things. It just means it's something sexually relevant. Something sexual has to be already happening for you to actually want it. That translates to, it doesn't even cross my mind, but when we get started, it's great. One of the most common things that we hear all the time. Was there something else around that? Yeah, if it's important, it'll come back. Number 2, how you reach orgasm. So one of the things that we hear quite a lot, almost daily maybe, is that it translates into the belief that we should be able to have orgasms through penis and vagina penetration. That's it. It's this misconception that was started by Freud, or probably even before that, but he was the one that labeled labeled vaginal orgasms as the adult way, and clitoral orgasms or any other excessive orgasms was somehow adolescent, which is complete rubbish. If you look at female anatomy, if you look at what is called the nerve structure, and you look at the anatomy of a clitoris, which looks like I've got my keys. I haven't got my keys handy. I've got a keyring that looks like a clitoris. It's freaking awesome. But it's like this little wishbone shape that's got like little vestibular bulbs underneath. It's not just a little nub at the top. And then if you look at the nerve structure that goes underneath that, it spreads right the way down into the back underneath, like the crease of your bum, down into the top of your thighs, all around you, the external vulva. And what this means is that when we're actually experiencing any stimulation of that area, chances are it's all getting fed back to the clitoris, because that pudendal nerve all links back into the clitoris, whose only purpose is for pleasure. That's it. That whole organ is there just to give us pleasure. That's it. It's incredible. So the statistics will tell us something like 80% of orgasms will involve some sort of clitoral stimulation. But even the people that experience orgasm from penetration alone, when we've actually done the research behind it, the distance between the clitoris and the vaginal opening, the introitus, is actually shorter. So there'll be a lot more pressure in that area anyway. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you get there. If you are comfortable, if you have access to orgasms, that's amazing, because some women might not have access to orgasms at all. If you're already getting there, it doesn't matter how you do. If you want to expand on that knowledge, and you want to, I mean, it's a pattern of behavior, and we tend to learn to access something in one way. In the same way we learn to write with one hand and we kind of stick with it. It's very, very similar to how we learn about orgasms. We find out one way that tends to work and we kind of stick with it. And all that is laying down a neural pathway. So we are able to train ourselves to access orgasms, and not just orgasms, but pleasure in so many different ways. And that's something we go through from an embodiment, from a connection, from a mindful touch perspective. And that is incredibly life-changing. And it changed how I went from only being able to orgasm on my back or with certain people to having access pretty much whenever I want. That's it. So number 3, how wet you get is myth, bullshit, block number 3. It's this thing: if I'm wet, I'm turned on. If I'm not, I'm not. We have, right, easiest way, simplest way, quickest way for me to describe this challenge is going to be, think about penises. Let's go there for a second. Sometimes they are there, they are working, they are up, they are hard, on command. Sometimes they'll randomly pop up out of nowhere for no reason, when the person, the penis owner, isn't even turned on or even thinking about anything sexual. It will also happen that they won't always rise to the occasion when they want. That's it. This is called arousal non-concordance, and exactly the same things happen to women, but it happens a lot more often to women because we don't get taught that there's this thing called arousal or pleasure, that tingling or that warmth or whatever that sensation is. We don't have that connection to that being sexually stimulated. It's not something that is so obvious and taught through us from a teenage age. So we don't have those neural pathway connections to go, oh, something's going on down there, so therefore I'm definitely turned on, or getting turned on doesn't necessarily mean that everything works down there, or everything gets moving down there. So in like 75% of women, we're not always going to match the subjective arousal, which is going on up here, with the physical arousal that's going on down there. And there's a really easy way around this. This is perfectly normal. This is how women work. It is great if you do, and it is great if you don't. All you need to do is buy lube. Simple. If you look at any sex educator, we have it by the bucket loads. We have our favorite types. Even if you get really wet, lube is awesome. I actually did a blog post. I'll share it in here later on, ages ago, just giving you that little bit of an introduction of different types of lube and how you should use it and how you can use it. And the way I describe it is, especially when it's like self-touch, when it's just you. I mean, I go through buckets of coconut oil, and I think at one point I had, before I started using the fractionated stuff, I very much had, I used just the normal organic stuff. So it was like Pavlov's dog with the smell. By the time I'd used that much coconut oil, by the time I was cooking with coconut oil, I'll start getting turned on by the smell of it. But yeah, anyway, there's so much, oh, it's like having, that was the point I was going to make. It's like having a massage without using massage oil. That's the level of, why wouldn't you? Sometimes you might want a bit more friction if you're playing with yourself. Don't go, great, go for that, but explore, have fun. It's amazing. And this is how our bodies actually work. So that's just the top 3. This is where we get started. This is the information that everybody should know. Now, if you are then looking from that feeling of, okay, cool, I'm normal. This is actually how women work. Awesome. Now I want to feel better than normal. Now I want to feel really deeply connected. Now I want to get really energized, feel connected to my sexuality, feel really confident, feeling sexy as fuck all the time. Then we get into the really juicy stuff. We get into your sexual menu, your flavor, your sexual self-care, and all that makes up part 1 of my I'm Pleasure education program, which is starting on Friday. I'm so excited. And then it gets even, that's the first 4 weeks. We then get into connection, that mindful connection to your pleasure, to your body, which is about mindful touch practices. It's about having autonomy over your arousal. Imagine being able to access and upregulate your arousal. So actually get yourself turned on whenever the hell you like. That's it. That's all it is. So you can make that choice. That's where my mind went on the part 1. Just that part 1 is like, when we understand that we may be more responsive, we might not always be experience spontaneous desire, we get to make a choice, we get to decide, we get to practice that we can access our sexuality, our libido, our arousal, our desire. We can access that, but it's a choice. That's the only difference between how culture perceives a high libido and a low libido. It's literally, it's the high libido right now is that it's just always there. A low libido is it's never there, but the low libido just means you get to choose, and you get to learn how to access that, and you get to learn how to program your body, and you get to learn how to influence all these amazing things that are there. So that is how we go through the connection part, which is 4 weeks of mindful self-touch. It is daily practices. It also looks at about how we actually operate on a daily level to build connection back up to our body by dialing down stress is the crucial thing there. So I've got a call in 2 minutes, so I'm going to go in a second. And the next 2 parts are programming, limiting beliefs, how we actually, I'm going to go into this a lot more over the next couple of days, but limiting beliefs will literally script out your behaviors. If you believe all men are dicks, you will only ever see men that are dicks. If you, sorry, I said dicks, my mind went somewhere else. If you believe you've got a low libido, you will only ever see that you've got a low libido. Whatever that belief, that structure is in there, if you don't look at the limiting beliefs and learn how to rewrite them and reprogram them, you will do a program, you will do a course, and then all of a sudden you'll go back to normal, or go back to your previous behavior, your previous patterns. So that's why so many of us jump on workshops. We go to days, we might go to like week-long intensive beautiful experiences, and then within a couple of weeks it's all gone. A couple of days, even sometimes hours, if it's just an online program that you're doing yourself. And yeah, last one, confidence. 4, confidence. sexiest thing on the world, a woman with confidence. And that isn't just about how you look. It's not just about how you come across. It's not just about the competency, your skills, which I'm going to talk more about soon because we've got some freaking awesome bonuses that go with this one as well. It's about how you feel in yourself. It's about feeling enough, whether you've got a man, whether you haven't got a man, whether you've got the relationship, whether you've got the car, whether you've got the money, whatever it is that you feel like you perceive you need to feel enough. It's how you feel, that connection to who you are yourself. That is life-changing stuff. That is how we show up authentically. That is how we connect to ourselves. It's how we actually express what we want when we are confident in who we are. So again, I'm going to go. I've got an amazing call right now. So if that is resonating with you and you are ready to go in, and it's like how to spend the next 12 weeks with me, really understanding who you are authentically, please just drop me a personal message. I'll get you some details and we'll have a chat over the next couple of days. Mwah! See you soon. Hey.